Hello everyone, in this video we are going to create a real estate agency website using ReactJS and Framer Motion. In this series of videos we will learn how to use Framer Motion, which is one of the most used animation library out there. It is super easy to use and have tons of built-in animation components. So without further ado, let's start building this beautiful website. So now let's create this beautiful UI. I have jumped into my terminal. As you can see, I am using git bash. You can use your own terminal as well. Here I am already in a real estate folder where I am running the command npx create react app to create a simple react app, and I am naming the folder as frontend. So let us now quickly open our project in VS Code. Okay, so our react app is now created. As you can see, I have opened my terminal. I am inside my real estate folder. So let me quickly go into the front end folder that we created and run npm start to start our project. Let me quickly bring it here. Yeah, so as you can see, our app is running on localhost 3000. Let me quickly switch it to my VS Code. Yeah, so let me remove the terminal from here. Yeah, so as you can see, because the React app has some basic files already created, we will just remove them so that we are good to have our first and basic screen. So we don't need app.test.js because we are not rendering any test cases here. Just quickly remove this. We'll also remove app.css because we don't want any predefined CSS. We will write the whole CSS, everything from scratch if we need. We'll quickly remove the references as well. Just keep a simple header here. So yeah, let's just quickly remove everything from here. Let's just show a simple h1. I am running. Let's remove the svg. Let's also delete these files as well. Let's remove the setup. And from our index.js, we can also remove our report web vitals because we are not monitoring currently the performance. So yeah, now after removing all of this, let me show you how the app looks. Yeah, so let's reload this. Yeah, as you can see, it is showing I am running. So this is the, after reviewing everything, we just have our basic setup ready now. So let us start by creating our first page. This is how our first page will look like. Let me quickly dissect the UI for you. So as you can see, our main page is divided into two parts. One is the image part and one is the title part. So we will start with the left side of the title part. Here you can see the left part is divided into three different parts. One is the header, which has one simple logo and two buttons which are aligned in a row. Then you can see we have a big title here. We can also use this as a middle part, and there is a simple footer part that can be treated as a third part of this UI. And moving to the right side, we just have one big image which is expanding towards whatever is left from the UI. For the right part, as you can see, so now for the right part, as you can, so now for the right side we have a simple image, and above the image is what we have more details about it, which is align itself in a row, and then towards the end of it we have a simple catalog download button. So this is our high level design that we are going to create. So let's start with the left side first, and let's create this title part first. So now let's start with the, so now this is how our this is how this has been dissected. So this is how our high level design, so this is how our high level design, so this is how our high level design looks like. So this is how our high level design looks like. So this is how our high level design of the app, so this is how our high level uh, so this is our high level dissection of the so this is our high level dissection of app looks like. So this is how on high level this is how on high level we will be doing this. So let's start with the left side first and let's complete it first. So yeah, let me quickly step onto my VS Code and let's start by creating it. Let's start by creating our first file. Let me quickly create one file, home section1.js. Here I will just quickly use one extension. As you can see, I am using one ES7 module extension which just auto completes my basic React code, which does nothing but just simply import React, create a basic function with whatever the file name that we have given and export it. You can also get this extension from here. You can search for React and you will get this ES7 React. This is the extension that I am using, which just gives you small snippets of reusable codes which will help you in your development. So now our home section basic UI is there. So now as you can see, we have our home section which just returns a div with home section 1. So as we know, in our home section we have first the header, then the middle part, then the footer. So let's just divide this outer section into 3 different sections. So we will have one header part, we will have one middle, we will have one footer. So now in our home section function, as you can see, we are just returning a simple div with home section written in it. So as we see in the as we have seen in the image, so as we have seen in the app, we need one header section, a middle section and a footer section. So let's just quickly create these 3 sections. So we will have one section, this will be our header section, we will have one middle, we will have one footer. Now in our header section we have one logo on the left side and 2 icons on the right side. So we'll quickly divide those 2 as well. So we'll have one div which will contain our outer div, which will contain our logo. Then we will have another div which is our right side section, which is our right side icon section that we have. And inside our logo section we will just quickly create one img element, because we will be just using one simple image for this. We will just pass a source to it, and as you can know, in an image element you just have to pass one alternate property. So alternate is the property which is used in case if your image is not loaded. We just want to show some text there. Due to some internet issues, your image might not get loaded at some times, or due to some browser issues. So at that time we need to add some text. You can add anything in this alternate text, but this is usually usually we add some text which is relevant to our image. So in this case, because this is a logo, so we will be using app logo as our alternate text. So now let's quickly give this section a class name as well. So this will be nothing but our header section, and inside this we will just quickly give this as a class name as a keeping header section as the prefix, header section logo. And then let's also create one CSS file for this as well. So we will have one home section1.css. We'll just quickly have our reference for this as well. So we will just quickly import our home section CSS here as well. Let me also add our stack logo. So as you can see, whenever we want to add any files, any PNG files, any icons, or any JSON files, or any text file which needs to be referenced in our React app, we need to use this public folder where we can add those. So let me quickly add one of my logo from stack and copy it in our yeah, public file. So now I have just quickly added this. So now we can reference this aesthetic logo.png directly here. So we'll just quickly aesthetic logo.png. We save this. Let me quickly show you what it has been re-rendered. Yep, reloaded. So okay, so we missed one thing. We actually created our home section, but we never used that section in our app.js, so that's why it's just showing whatever it was there. So we can quickly remove this, and show this our home section 1, which it will import directly from there. And now, as you can see, we are able to see our logo that we have created. It is aligned towards the left. So let's set the width and height for this, and let's make it look good, because now it's too big for us to see, so we don't need. So we will use our header section logo. So inside our home section 1 css, let me quickly. So whenever we want to use any image tag or any tag which is inside some of our div, we can directly use it like this, and all the image tag which will be inside this home section logo class will get this property that we will be adding. So I want this css changes to all the image property, because I know that inside this div anyhow there will be only one image which is of the logo and not the other thing. So we can directly use this just to save on the naming conventions here. So I will just quickly give it some width of, let's say, 100px, height of 100px, and quickly check upon how it looks. So it still looks pretty weird. We can. So for selecting this, I have used Ctrl D. You can also use Command D if you have a Mac OS. It just helps you to select multiple text at a single time. I'll just quickly do a change of 60px, and let's see. We can also just make this width a bit small. Yeah. So now it looks pretty good. You can keep it like this. Let's also give some padding to the whole page, because from the image, the whole from the so from our website's first page, as you can see, let me share that as. So as you can see, there is a bit of a padding on all of the sides. So let's just quickly add this padding. So what for in this case, what we can do, we can directly add this padding to our app file, because the whole page needs this padding. So we can quickly use our app.css and add a padding of 10px. This will help us to add padding on all the sides of our image. On all the this will help us on this will help us on adding the padding on all the sides of our. So this will give padding on. So this will add padding on all the sides of our web page, so that we don't need to add specific margin or padding for each element of our page. So we can use this. Now as you can see, this div has wrapped. This is the parent div that we have from the app, so whatever we create inside it will always have this padding with it. So let's now see the output of this. Let me quickly share with you. Yes. So as you can see, our logo has a bit of a padding. As you know, before it was just stuck towards the screen. So as you can see from left and the top, there's a bit of a padding that has been added. More you will be able to see as soon as this thing grows up. When we add more titles, headers, and colors and the image, you will be able to see the 10px paddings difference much more depth there. So now let's start and create the other side of it. So let me quickly switch to my VS Code. Yep. So let's go inside the home section.js. Yeah, let's start building our another icon side. So before building this, we will quickly install material icons. Let me quickly install it. So basically we will be adding different icons. We have download icon, one like icon, home icon, some map icon. So instead of using some image files, because as you know, when you use certain image files, those can increase your web page load time, because an image needs some time to load. It takes some data, and it basically just your web app needs to be, your website needs to be a bit of a lightweight, and this increases it. Adding more images to it increases the weight of your website, and by weight I mean it would take more time to load, which when a website like this, which has much more animation, hampers with the usability and the UX part of how the user uses the app, and it doesn't look good because sometimes your image might not load, but your animation might come into play. So to handle such situations, we try to use icons in this case, because icons are anyhow an SVG load elements which are predefined and predefined and already created by material for us. So we will just quickly use them from material. So let me share with you as well. So to install any of those packages, we will use this material icons website, as you can see. So let me quickly copy this from here, and let's quickly paste it here and enter. So let it install. Yep. So now this has been installed. Let's quickly run this now. Yes, so now it's working properly. So now to use any of those, let me bring the material icons. Yep. So as you can see in this material icons, there are already predefined multiple icons that are created. So let me show the image as well. So for our image, we need one map kind of icon, and this is something that is like a left align kind of icon. So we'll quickly get these two icons from there. So let me, so I've searched for one align icon here, and I'm able to get this form align. So let me quickly copy this and enter this in my VS Code. So let's just quickly import this, and also quickly import our map icon as well. So let me see, where can I find the map icon? Yes, so it's here. So I have the map icon as well. Quickly enter that as well. So now we have both of the icons with us. So let's now see the output of this. Let me quickly share with you. Yes. So as you can see, our logo has a bit of a padding. As you know, before it was just stuck towards the screen. So as you can see from left and the top, there's a bit of a padding that has been added. More you would be able to see as soon as this thing grows up. When we add more titles, headers, and colors and the image, you will be able to see the 10px paddings difference much more depth there. So now let's start and create the other side of it. So let me quickly switch to my VS Code. Yep. So let's go inside the home section.js. Yeah, let's start building our another icon side. So before building this, we will quickly install material icons. Let me quickly install it. So basically, now let us call our get my icon function and pass our both the icons to see it in action. So let me just quickly, so now to call a function in an HTML element, we will just use this curly braces. Then we'll just pass get my icon, and then we need to pass the icon. So just quickly pass our map icon to it, and let's just copy this and do the same for our format align icon, and we did. Okay. So now both of our icons are should be visible on our screen. So let me quickly open the screen for you guys to show you. Okay, let me just quickly reload it. So as you can see, both of the icons are now pretty good visible in our screen. One more thing that we missed in this case is we forgot to add the color. So we'll just quickly go into our CSS, add a background color of, let's say, gray. As you can see, the 100 and 200 px is a lot that we added. So let's quickly keep it down to 50. Still a lot. Let's bring it down to 30. I guess 30 might be okay in this case, but let's move this color to a light gray, and yeah, now it looks much better in this case. Yep. So now as you can see, our both of the icons are now properly visible. One thing is, now both of them are actually side by side and not one below the other. So what we can do is, so the div that we have, the parent div for both of them, we can just give it a name as my header icon container. So this will be our container. So because we need both of them side by side, we will use one property called display flex. As soon as we use this, as you will see, both of them are now aligned side by side. One more thing that we need with this is, we want a bit of a margin in between them. As you can see in the image, there is a small margin in between them. So let's just add that margin as well. So to adding this margin, we will be adding that margin to our the icon that we created, the get my icon style. So we'll just quickly add a margin. So because from top and bottom we don't need the margin, we only need the margin from left and right. So top and bottom we will do 0 px, but left and right we will need 10 px. So now let me quickly share with you guys. Yes, so now as you can see, there's a bit of a margin as well in between them. Along with this, let's quickly complete this section as well. Our logo and this icon as well is in a row, so we need to use a flex property for this as well. So let's just quickly add our flex property to our header section. So let me quickly copy the header section name. Let's use it. Quickly copy it again. Yep. Now let's just use display flex. So our logo and this are now in a row, but as you can see, it's towards the, because there is a maximum gap in between our logo as well as our icons. So to add that gap, we'll use one property called as justify content, which gives you a property called as space between. So this will help us to give a maximum amount of space that it can give in a page, without we need to calculate that, give a margin of 50 px or 150 px, because we don't know if the user has a smaller screen or a bigger screen. We need to use all the space that is available on our screen. So we'll quickly use space between. And now let us call our get my icon function and pass our both the icons to see it in action. So let me just quickly, so now to call a function in an HTML element, we will just use this curly braces, then we'll just pass get my icon, and then we need to pass the icon. So we'll just quickly pass our map icon to it, and let's just copy this and do the same for our format align icon, and we did okay. So now both of our icons are should be visible on our screen. So let me quickly open the screen for you guys to show you. Okay, let me just quickly reload it. So as you can see, both of the icons are now pretty good visible in our screen. One more thing that we missed in this case is we forgot to add the color. So we'll just quickly go into our CSS, add a background color of, let's say, gray. As you can, so now let me bring our UI quickly. So yeah, now as you can see, both of them are towards the end, our logo on the left side and our icons on the right side, and there is a maximum space that it can take in a page that is there. You can also try to filter it down, and it will take whatever is the maximum space in between them. So the display flex and the justify content is the helps us to add it in a row and give the maximum space in between them. And now let me quickly switch it to my editor, and as you can see, they are not properly aligned with each other. Like as you can see, our logo and our icon are a bit on a top. So let's just quickly align them using one align items property, and let's align them in the center. So now as you can see, they are properly aligned with each other in a center. Now we will start adding Framer Motion to add these animations, because as we have completed our header part, we will start adding animation. So on load, there will be an ascend animation which will be added to our logo as well as these two icons. So let me quickly switch to my VS Code. It's here. Terminate this. Let me show you guys. Yes, yeah. So this is our Framer Motion. So this is Framer. You can visit framer.com, and there you will be able to see all the details on how to install it. So we'll quickly copy this and install Framer Motion. So Framer Motion. So just to give you a context of this, Framer Motion gives you a different motion components. By default, you can add animations to it. You just need to wrap your div with motion. Just use motion.div, and you will be able to add animations to it without creating and adding the keyframes and everything to your CSS. So this just makes your life a bit easy. As you can see, you can add animations towards X, Y. You can rotate them. So all of this hardcore CSS functions that you need to write and you need to do, all of those are provided by Framer. It makes your life easier to add those animations. It is also very lightweight, so we can easily use this in our app. So let me quickly switch to my editor. Let's install it. We'll start the installation. Yep, it has done it. So now let's quickly use npm start, and we have started a development. Okay, close this terminator. Sorry, terminal. Okay, so now let's start. Okay, so we'll first add so now to add your animations, instead of creating multiple animations for like logo, a different animation, and then the same animation we need to add to our icons as well. So we will create one simple reusable component where we will pass, it will be an animated component, and we will pass whatever whenever we need to, let's say, add an ascend animation to, let's say, our logo as well as to our icon. So we'll create one single component which will only handle the ascend animation, and we will just pass our logo section, and as well we'll pass our header sections to it, so it will just quickly add that ascend animation to it. This will make it easier to maintain, and we don't need to again rewrite our code again and again. Now we will start adding Framer Motion to add these animations, because as we have completed our header part, we will start adding animation. So on load, there will be an ascend animation which will be added to our logo as well as these two icons. So let me quickly switch to my VS Code. It's here. Terminate this. Let me show you guys. Yes, yeah. So this is our Framer Motion. So this is Framer. You can visit framer.com, and there you will be able to see all the details on how to install it. So we'll quickly copy this npm install Framer Motion. So Framer Motion. So just to give you. So now let's start by creating our animation folder. So I will create one animation folder, animations. Okay, so because I am creating this animations folder differently, because we don't want all of the code in a single source file. So all our animations related component will be inside this animation folder. This will make our code more, more readable, in the sense that all our animations code will be at a single place inside this animations folder. So just a best practice, and let me add one. So we'll create one ascend animation.js. Okay, so this will be our ascend animation JS component. What this component will do is, whenever we want to add an ascend animation to any component. So ascend animation is nothing but an animation where your component is not visible, and then it just slowly comes up and it's visible. So that's the animation that we are giving to our to any of the component that we want to give. So this will be a reusable component that we and anywhere wherever we want to use this animation, we will directly use this component, pass whatever needs to be animated. Let's say if a title needs to be animated, let's say if a text needs to be animated, or let's if I have an image and that needs to be animated, we can directly pass that to this component, and this component has only one job: to handle that animation. So this would make our life easier, as we don't need to write again same code again and again, repeat it for every other place that we need it. So let's start by creating this. So we will quickly use our RFC to just auto complete our basic code. So once this is done, we will just quickly import motion from Framer Motion. So yeah, this is there. Yeah, so now our component needs to take few values. So because our component need to take value, let's say it need to take something that needs to be animated, because this has only one job, that it needs to animate something. So we need to somehow pass, wherever we use ascend animation, we need to pass whatever needs to be animated to this. So for that, what we can do is, we can enclose a curly bracket like this, and we can now whatever we define inside this can be used to pass something from there. So wherever in the parent we use it, we can pass that to this child. So this is something called as props in React. In React, whenever we want to pass something from a parent to a child, so by parent I mean, so whenever there is a component created, a reusable component, that can be treated as a child component, because it has a single specific job. And let's say, so let me define it more. So let's say we have a home section 1. So home section 1 in itself is a child component of app.js, because this is our high level component that we have. And app.js has home section 1. So let's say and now home section 1 needs to do a animation on our header section. So our this whole section needs to be animated. So this now we will need when this asset animation will be a child component of our home section and of our home section 1. So now we need to actually pass this section to this ascend animation. So what we can do is, we will use our ascend animation component, and we will use we can name anything. So we will just quickly name this as children. So whatever children that we need to pass to it can be passed like this. So we will just enclose this in a curly bracket and use this children as a name for it. We will also pass some more values to. So let me pass something as delay. So delay is nothing but the delay in the animation that we need. So let's say as soon as our website load, I want to load my title after 5 seconds. So I need to pass the delay to it because I want to keep the animation same, but for different components I want to use different delays. So that's why I'm passing this delay value, so that if for section 1 I need to do a delay of let's say 1 second, but for section 2 I need a delay of 3 seconds. So I need that flexibility of passing those items to it. So I'm using this delay. Then I will create a duration. So duration is nothing but the animation duration that we want. So let's say I want my section 1 to animate for 2 seconds after, so that it's much more smooth and a bit of a user experience that I want. So different components I want different duration, so that's why I'm passing this duration. But what I can also do, if I don't want to pass any duration, I need some default duration for it. So let us just keep it like 0.95 for now. Yeah. So now once this is done, let me go. So now let's so for using, now we have imported this motion. So we how we use this is, we will just use this like this, just motion.div, and that's it. You once you have wrapped, so whatever you pass inside this motion.div gets we will be able to, now as soon as we use motion.div, we get some access to some properties, because this motion.div is like a component coming from Framer Motion, which in itself has given us some properties by default. So as you can see, there are different properties that comes with it. So now, and whatever children we pass, we want to give that animation to it. So as I said, whenever we want to pass anything in an HTML code, we can just use our curly braces and use that. So we want children, so we will just do it like this, and our children will be getting whatever animation we will be giving to this. So now what are the properties that we get in this motion tag? So so we get something called as initial. So initial is the state of the div as soon as we load the web page. So let's say initially for section 1, what do I want when the animation happens? So initially I just want its opacity to be 0, like it doesn't need to be seen as soon as we load it. So initially we can we don't want it, so I will just use this hidden. So this is a string, so basically this is a unique identifier that I'm using. So there are two ways in Framer Motion to do this. So if you want to directly add the properties, we can just use our opacity like this and key value pair, and you can pass it as 0. So initially whatever children we pass will have opacity of 0, and there is the other property that we use is an animate. So what does animate do? Animate is the state where we want the animation to happen. So let's say initially it was 0, then we want to animate it towards 1, that it needs to be visible. So 0, with opacity 0, the HTML element becomes transparent, but with animate we will be able to animate it towards 1. So let's say I want the animate to have opacity of 1. Okay, so this is 0 to 1, that animation that needs to happen here. But we want the ascend animation, so we want some movement as well. So for movement we can use x and y, so x and y direction to move. So in x direction we can move, in y direction we can move our component. We want to move our component in y direction, so we'll quickly use y. Initially y will be at 50 just 50 towards the y axis, and this will, while animation I want it at 0. So yeah, so now animated and initial properties are given. So once that is there, we just want to use the transition that needs to happen. So we'll just quickly use one transition property. And what are the transition that we need is transition takes duration. So we already are passing some duration. It takes delay, we are also passing that delay. We can also keep some delay value, so we just quickly keep it as let's say 0.5 as a delay by default, and we can also pass the delay depending on component that we want to render it. And we can also pass the transition that we want. So there are multiple different type of transition. There are bounds and everything, but we want simple transition in this case, so that's why we are using ease. So this is just nothing but easing between 0 to 1 that we want between initial and animate during that delay and duration. So you want to have one ease transition, and this there are multiple ease in and out, and ease out as well. So we'll just quickly use ease out for this. Yep. So our ascend animation component is completed. So just to give a quick overview of this, we have a ascend animation where we pass children, a delay and a duration. Children is nothing but whatever component that needs to have this animation, we just pass that. We have to give it some delay and duration so that the animation is properly visible. We imported motion from Framer Motion, and and to use it we just use motion.div as a parent component, and whatever which gives access to this different properties to us, which is initial, animate, and the transition property. So initial is nothing but the initial state, and the animate is nothing but the animated state. So the difference in between initial state and the animate state is how our animation will work. So we have passed opacity of 0 in initially, and then opacity of 1, and then y we are passing in the y is nothing but the direction. So in the y direction we want the animation, that's why we are passing initially our component will have opacity of 0, but will be available at y 50th y direction, but as soon as the animation will start, for that duration and within that delay, with an ease out animation, it will just move from 50 till 0. And whatever children we pass, whatever basically children or the section or the element that we pass, this animation will be applied to it. So this is how our ascend animation component will work. So now let's just use this ascend animation in our home section one. Okay, yeah, so we want this whole ascend animation to apply directly on our section. So let me quickly import our ascend animation. Let's import it. So our ascend animation now takes children. So this children is nothing but our full section, because we want to use ascend animation on our whole section only. So let's quickly pass this to this. We can also pass some delay. So let's pass delay as, let's say, 0.8. Duration, let's keep the same, because I don't think so we need much too slow or too fast. So 0.95 is, I guess, a good delay. And now let's see the output of our code. Quickly, let me reload it, and it is here. So now our animation is in works, and it looks pretty good. Let me reload it again, and yeah, it looks good. It's proper, the whole section is animated. And so now let's start by creating our animation folder. So I will create one animation folder, animations. Okay, so because I am creating this animations folder differently, because we don't want all of the code in a single source file. So all our animations related component will be inside this animation folder. This will make our code more, more readable, in the sense that all our animations code will be at a single place inside this animations folder. So just a best practice. And let me add one. So we'll create one ascend animation.js. Okay, so this will be our ascend animation JS component. What this component will do is, whenever we want to add an ascend animation to any component. So ascend animation is nothing but an animation where your component is not visible, and then it just slowly comes up and it's visible. So that's the animation that we are giving to our to any of the component that we want to give. So this will be a reusable component that we and anywhere wherever we want to use this animation, we will directly use this component, pass whatever needs to be animated. Let's say if a title needs to be animated, let's say if a text needs to be animated, or let's if I have an image and that needs to be animated, we can directly pass that to this component, and this component has only one job: to handle that animation. So this would make our life easier, as we don't need to write again same code again and again, repeat it for every other place that we need it. So let's start by creating this. So we will quickly use our RFC to just auto complete our basic code. So once this is done, we will just quickly import motion from Framer Motion. So yeah, this is there. Yeah, so now our component needs to take few values. So because our component need to take value, let's say it need to take something that needs to be animated, because this has only one job, that it needs to animate something. So we need to somehow pass, wherever we use ascend animation, we need to pass whatever needs to be animated to this. So for that, what we can do is, we can enclose a curly bracket like this, and we can now whatever we define inside this can be used to pass something from there. So wherever in the parent we use it, we can pass that to this child. So this is something called as props in React. In React, whenever we want to pass something from a parent. Okay, so now we will start creating our middle container. Let me quickly open up. Yes, so we will start creating with this title. So as we can see, we actually need to create one single div, where we will have our one small span or a p tag, which will include this building your dreams, and one h1 tag, which will usually create take this whole text of real estate in Dubai, ideal for living and investing, this whole text. And in that, as you can see, these are aligned in such a way, those are actually in a column, but if you can see, those are properly aligned in the center. So that div, then we can add some flex properties along with direction of column and a content as a center, so that both of them are aligned in a center. And this text itself, we can add the text align property of center, because as soon as it moves to next line, it needs to be on center. So because now we have the full web page, this will be in a single line, but as soon as we start adding our right section with this image, then as the space will start to go close, and this will start to go move to next line. But when it moves to next line, we want it to be in like a center line in itself. So yeah, so that was the context for this. Let us just start coding this up. Let me quickly. Okay. Yep. So this will be our section 2. Let me just give it a name as class name middle section. Okay. So now our middle section will have our div. We can directly actually use this middle section only, so let's just use our simple p tag for this, where we have building. So it's building your dreams. It's building your dreams. And one simple h1 tag which you can see, like real estate in Dubai. Real estate in Dubai. Ideal for living and investing. Ideal for living and investing. Okay, cool. Okay, let's just quickly see how it looks in our. Yep. So as you can see, this is how it looks. So building your dreams. We have a spelling mistake here. Yes. So yeah, this is how it looks. Building your dreams and real estate in Dubai. Ideal for living and investing. So yes, now let's just keep it in middle. So one thing to look here is all of this also have some expanded space. So these are not like just one below the other. There is this is not a hard coded space that has been given. So depending on your whole web, like the web page's height, this has been expanded. So as you can know, whenever we need to use something in an expanded way, we can use our justify content property directly here. So we will also use this, but this needs to be added to our main section that we have, because this header section, our the middle container section and our footer section, all of it needs to be properly divided. So yeah, so first let's just complete this middle section, and then we can quickly complete our the third section, the footer section, and then we will focus on adding that expanded space to all of those. So let's just move to our home section 1 and CSS, and let's add this middle section animation. Sorry, the middle section on CSS. So we have our middle section. So inside this we have a p tag. Okay. What I was thinking is, we can also give it the width and restrict it using width, because in any case I just wanted to see it in this way only, instead of it being a long in a single line. It doesn't look good. So let's just restrict our middle section as well towards some. So let us just give it a width of, let's say, 200 px, and quickly see how it looks. So as you can see, now this has been restricted in 200 px. So let's just get 400 px, because anyhow we are going to increase the font size here. So let's just increase our p tags font size to, let's say, 20 px. That looks pretty good. Yep, 20 px looks pretty good. And just copy this, and we want all the h1 tags. So by the way, just to give you a context on this greater than in CSS, so we are using a class name as middle section. So to explain this, I have a class name middle section, and this middle section, when I say greater than and then a p, what it says is, wherever p tag has been used inside this middle sections, like in between this section tab, wherever p tag has been used, just give them this this CSS properties that we are passing. Because we know that anyhow this we won't be repeating this p tag and h1 tag inside this, so we are directly using it. But if you want to, have multiple p tags, but all of those have some different colors, or let's say different properties, then in that case you need to pass a class name to that specific, so that let's say font size and your so let's say color is the only property that needs to be different, but your font size and your font width needs to be same. So you can use this greater than the greater than p greater than the tag that you want to add it, and then add that css value. So that will be like a parent css that you are giving for all the elements that are inside it, and then you can pass a custom class name or id, and then uniquely give a color property or any other property that you want to give to that specific tag or the element. So yeah. So but in that case we are not giving any other colors or anything different. So yes, so we'll just quickly take it 50px and just see how it looks. Yeah, it looks pretty good, but there is a bit of a space. So this space is because p and h1 tag by default gives some margin, so we will just quickly just make it at 0px. So you can see the margin, the extra margin that was coming up is now removed. P also by default gives that extra, I guess, 10px margin or 8px margin from all the sides, but it looks still like that margin looks good, so we won't remove that from our p tag. And okay, so now first let's just quickly maybe yep, it does make sense. Okay, yeah, so let's just give one text align property as well, text align to center. So now the whole text is aligned towards center. Let's just remove this width. I don't think so it is looking good in that case. Let's just keep it like this for now, and let's just, for our middle section, what we can do is, because we want both of them in the like properly center, like build your dreams in the center and then the title below it. So we will quickly, in our middle section we can use our display flex. So this will bring them in a row, but we don't want them in a row. So what we can do is, there is a property called as flex direction. So flex direction, we want it, we can pass a direction, like we want in a column direction, so one below the other. We want in a row, so side by side. We want in a row reverse, that the second element needs to be first and the first element needs to be the second in row. So all of those extra properties that comes with it. So we will just quickly, sorry, we will just use the column. As soon as we use flex direction column, both of them goes in a column. Now we want them to be aligned, items to be in center. So as you can see, the both of them are now aligned to properly aligned in a center. So the building your dreams and the real estate in Dubai is in center. I think so. P tag, we should increase it a bit, like 30px, because it looks too small in this case. And this we can increase to 55px just to make it more big and proper looking. And we can also check once. Okay, so it's okay. Let's just keep it like 24px, would make much more sense. Yeah, this looks much better. Yes, this looks much better. Dreams and real estate in Dubai. You can check as soon as we start moving our screen, like just moving our screen, decreasing the size of our screen. You can see this just go line below line, and because we have used text align center, it just moves like this. So that does make much more sense in our case, because anyhow we will be having one right section that will take a good amount of space in the image that we have, and then this would be anyhow in go below the lines. So that will look much better in that case. Now also we want animation for this as well. So as we have our reusable component in place, so we can just quickly use that for this section as well, because we have a bit of a different duration and delay for this. So that's why let me quickly use our ascend animation. This ascend animation, we want children. We can quickly pass our section to it. So let's just pass our section to this. Now this section needs a delay, so we will just add a delay of, let's say, 1.1 second, because I guess we have passed 0.8 here, so let's just keep it 1 second only. Not much. 0.2 second delay is, we can check when we load it, and we can set it. Duration we want of, let's say, 1 second only for this as well. And let's see, how it behaves. So let me reload it, and it looks pretty much same only. So we can increase our delay. So let's just add a delay of 1.2 so that our header comes up first and then this animation comes. Just, and let's see. And yeah, that this looks much better and much in place. Yeah, let me reload it again, and yeah, this looks pretty good. And this is our middle section is also now completed. We can now go ahead and create our footer section. So let me open it. So this is how our footer looks like. So we will be creating one contact us now and explore all properties. So this will be our two divs, basically two divs, one with contact us now, with one with explore all our properties in a row. And one of the things is both of these have two different animations, so we need to create two different animation set as well. The contact us now has a wipe animation, so it just wipes down like this, and our explore all has like a scale animation, so it just scales from 0 to, and it just goes big from there. So let us start by creating this footer section now. Let me now quickly switch to my editor. Yep. So let's start by creating our section. So inside this section, first we will have two divs. So these are nothing but our call us now. So this will be our call us now section, and then we will have our explore all. So let's start our call us now first. So inside our call us now, we have an icon and a text, but around the icon we have a grayish kind of a background, and the whole div itself has a small length, as well as it has a black background. So we can just quickly name this as our call us now container. We can quickly go ahead and add our css as well for this. So our call us now container will be having a background color of, let's say, black, kind of a black color that we're giving, and as well as let's just add some padding to it. So let's say a padding of 5 px from top and bottom, and a padding of, let's say, 10 px from both the sides. Okay, that should be enough for our main container of colors. Now inside we again have two divs. So one where we will be having our button, so we can quickly go ahead and import that icon. So that will be our phone icon that we have. So we can quickly copy our phone in talk icon. So this is our phone in talk icon that we need, and just quickly have it like this. So yeah, so we now have our phone in talk icon. Along with this we will have one small text, so let's just use h3 tag for this, and this will be like call us now. And one more thing is both of them are also in a row, so just quickly add our display flex. So those are in row. We can also, let's just align them as well in center, so it looks pretty aligned. And once those are aligned, we also have our phone in talk. So let's just quickly give it a class name of call us now icon. So actually our icon has a circular background along with the gray color, so we can quickly give that as well. So this will have a background color of, let's say, light gray, and a padding from all side of, let's say, 10 px. And we can also 10 px, that should be much more, so let's just keep it to 5 px only. And inside this as well we will have yeah, we have a border radius. We'll just give it 50% because we want a full circle out of it, so that's why we are passing this 50%, so it will make sure that it's a proper circle. And I think so we should be, and we will just quickly add a color property to our content. So we want any text inside this to be always white, so we can just pass this. One more like a quick trick in css. If your parent container has given a color property, all of the tags below it, whatever you use, by default use that color property instead of using it so whatever parent color property is there, all the p tags, h1 tags, all the text tags that you use will by default use that color property. So instead of passing our h3 as a white color or any color, we can just give its parent, which is call us now container, a color of white, and by default our h3 container will also take that white color, because our background color is of black, we are using our color property as white for it. And now let us see how does it look in action quickly. Yep. So yes, this is how it looks because it has now extended it till the end. Let us now just, and we can also just quickly give our let me quickly open this. We can just make this like 10% so it looks pretty proper. Okay, it's too small. Let us just go ahead and increase it to 30%. Okay, 40. Okay, still we can do better in this case, so let's just go ahead with 45 and like 10 px, and our icon, just give a black color to our icon. It's in white so it doesn't look good, so just go ahead and give it that color. So we need to actually give our background color to it. Actually what you can do is you can quickly tab inside. This is also one trick, so and you can directly use this color from here. Yes, so now you can see it works pretty fine like this. Yep. So now our the circle is not, let's just give it a value in px. So let's just give it 44 px. Yeah, now if you see it, the circle looks much pretty much more. So we have just used pixel values instead of percentage because it was not looking so proper. Let me also give it a fixed because it's just expanding, so we don't want it to be expanded. Let's just give it a 200 px of fixed width, and yeah, that looks pretty good. And the padding we want very less, so let's see how our padding is. Okay, I think so we need to trim this down to, let's say, 8px. We also have our borders a bit circular, so let's just actually have it proper circles. So let's just use 22px for this. Okay, we can just increase it to 42. Yeah, now it looks pretty good. We have some margin by default because of our h3 tag. Okay, so let's just go ahead, and I'm using an inline style here quickly because I just want to access one margin and just want to give 0px. So yeah, now I can just go ahead and increase this to 5px. It's pretty much okay because we have our padding from left and right. Let me quickly check the UI as well. So from left we actually have a very less padding, but from the right we have a bit. So what we can do is, from top we want 5, from the right we want 10, from the bottom we want 5 again, but from the left we just want like, I guess, 5px. Let's see how does it look in action. Okay, it looks pretty much the same. We can also, let me just add a bit of a colors. Now we can just add one margin as well inside this. So let's just add a margin right of, let's say, 10px. Okay, looks good, pretty good. And it looks pretty good. We can just make it a bit small. So instead of 200px we can just go ahead and use 150px. It's too small, we can use 180. And yeah, yes, this looks good. So colors, now we have our icon, we have our colors, and everything is in place for this. We can also quickly go ahead and create our another, the explore all. So for explore all, we have explore all our properties and a picture, and we have this small icon as well here. Okay, so for this what we can do is, yep, we need actually two different divs, and for this icon we will actually use position property with an position absolute, so that that icon places above our above the picture that we have, and it will place above it. So let's just start creating, we will start creating this as well. Okay. Okay, so first we will have our the div with explore all properties, which is this, and then this. So we will have two divs for this. Okay, now this is nothing but a simple p tag with explore all properties, explore all our properties. Okay, which looks good. Once this is there, we can also have our image. So for this we can use okay, yep, we can use our img tag, and then we will be able to do this. So let's just use a simple img tag. Inside this we'll pass the source of the image and an alternate. So whenever we use the img tag, we need to pass an alternate value to it. So in case if image doesn't load, we need to show some meaningful text at that place, because due to some internet connection or slow connection, sometimes image might not get load. So for this case, we will just show explore properties image properties. Explore properties is much more explainable for this anyhow. And we can now go ahead. We will also want this small UI as well. So what we can do is, okay, so we'll quickly go ahead, and because this is inside, we will need one more div to wrap this. So I will explain why we will need this extra div that we have created above. Meanwhile, let me just quickly first create that outer button that will stay above on our above this image. And so that div just will contain one icon. So let me quickly go ahead and check for that icon. So that icon is arrow outward. Okay, so it's an arrow outward icon that we have. Quickly copy this arrow outward, and go ahead, use this arrow outward icon, and yeah, that's it. Now we can just quickly start naming our classes. So this will be our explore all container. So this will be our main container of explore all. So our explore all, okay, so display will be flex, because we need both of the image and the text in a row. So, and also we need it align as well. So this will be center, so that it always stays in center. Then we have our div with explore all properties. Then there's another div which contains our image as well as our the icon that we have. So we can, okay, let's just give first this class name of arrow outward icon. Now we can go, because our arrow outward icon has a bluish kind of a color, so with the background, like a background is in blue but the icon itself is in black. So we will add that background color of, let's say, let's just choose this aqua for now, and we can just bring it down like this. And then we can check as well that is it, we can also check it from here. So it's, yeah, we can check this color by just manipulating some values within this aqua as well. And along with this, we want a border radius of like 44 pixels, because it's a proper circle that we need. We need a bit of a padding from all sides of, let's say, 8px, and we can just quickly give this also a color of black. So we have this color as well. Okay, so this is also in place. We will need one image as well. So let me quickly grab one image. I will just add some random image to this for now. And just quickly go ahead and let me get the image address. So I have just added one random image out of internet. So once this is also there, we can just give this also one class name as our explore all image container. We can just look at explore all image, and we can just, because now currently we are directly passing the image to this. So so when in an image tag, when you pass a source but we haven't given any width or height to it, so by default, let's say if the image is of a resolution of 1024 by 768, then it will take that much amount of space. So I will just quickly show you how the output now looks. So as you can see, it's in a flex, but yeah, you can see it has extended it totally. So because we need just a small circle out of it, we can quickly edit our CSS for this. So what we can do is, our explore all image, we can access our image tag by using the greater than, and because we only have one image tag inside of it, we can quickly access it. Once we have the access of our image tag, we will give it a width of, let's say, 150px and a height of 150px. Okay, once you give it the width and height, you will be able to see that it has just shrunk it down, but it looks too big still. Now we can just bring it down to, let's say, 80px. That should be pretty fine, I think so. Yeah, that's pretty fine. We will use a property called as object fit. We will use cover. So we want it to properly expand, because when we doesn't pass object fit property, it just shrinks down the image, which may sometimes break the pixels of the image. So that's why we use this object fit, that you can without breaking the pixel, just scale the image in such a way that it properly fits our the resolution, the width and height that we have passed. So that's why we're using, and there are multiple properties inside this object fit. We are using cover. You can use contain as well, but contain will keep the resolution in, so it will just keep the resolution in all directions. So if we used contain in this case, you can see it has kept the full resolution of the image, but it has not expanded it the way that we want, because we want to use a circle out of it. We want it to take the width and height as much as possible. So that's why we will use the cover inside this case. And now because we have used the cover, you can see it has expanded it till our width and height. And now we can just quickly go ahead and add a border radius of, let's say, 44px for this. And you can see we got our circle that we need. We also needed a circle for our outward icon. So let me go ahead and give it a width, because we forgot to give it a width and a height. So this is a pretty small circle, so it's like 20px by 20px. Should be much, yeah. I think we need to also bring it down to 10. So that should be pretty much for this. Yep. And we will just quickly we can also use font size property for our icon to, let's say, 10px, and that's too small. Let's just do 14px. Yeah, this looks good. We also need this in the center. What we can do is we can quickly use our display flex, our align item center, and justify center. So yeah, now you can see just by using these three things, display flex, align items, justify, content center, I was able to align the icon in the center of the circle that we have created. So anytime you want to center something like an element around, like you are using some div or something, some background color, and you want to center something inside it, use these three lines of display flex, align item center, and justify content center, and you will be able to properly center those values, center whatever is in the children that we have passed. Now what we want is we want this circle to be over this image. So what we can do now is we'll quickly go ahead. We have our explore all image, we have our this div of arrow output. So what we can do now is we will give this a class name of explore all. This will be our prop image container. Now in this image container itself will be our position of relative. So why are we passing this position relative? So because we are using position absolute, we need some relative position, so that when we use our top and bottom properties, it shouldn't go beyond the because if we use top as 0, then the relative position for this would be this whole page, and it might go above this logo, but we want to restrict it within some bounds. So that's why we have used this other div that we created, and then because we made that relative, so now it is bound to be inside this container only, so it won't just leave out of this. So that will make our UI much easier when it's open in a small screen as well, and that will just keep it intact. So that's why we have used this position relative on that container itself. Now we can just go ahead and this is where we can use now our position absolute, and we can just add our, let me just quickly add a top of 0px, and as you can see it has not just gone above it. Now we want it on the left side as well, so let's just go ahead and give it a left, let's just use right directly instead of left. We can just give it a right of, let's say, 10px. So yep, we actually need to make this color much more bright, so that's pretty visible. Okay, let's just increase it properly. Yep, increase it a bit more. Yep, now it looks pretty much good. Let's just because what we can do is, because we want it also a bit more above, it's 2 on the image, we can just quickly use a minus value for this, and it just goes up. Actually we will use 5px instead of 10, and you can see now it's properly on image. We will also decrease this to 5px. Yep, so now this pretty much looks in the same way of how they have also used it here. And we yep, now we want our explore all properties, and these are properly aligned. Okay, we can use if you want this on the next line, we can go ahead and do one thing. So there are two things we can do. One is we can directly use like a slash, and here, sorry, we need to actually, to use this, we need to actually use it inside a string. So there is one small trick that we can do is we can explore all properties, we can take it out in a variable which will be actually a string. Inside that string we will be able to use the slash n, so that it will always be in the next line. Other than that, what we can do is using CSS, we can just quickly give it a inline style here, and just restrict it with a width of, let's say, 30px. It would be too small. Let's just restrict to 80px, 100px, 50. And as you can see, now it has been restricted to this explore all our properties are restricted to 150px. This is nothing but just a small hacky solution that we did it for this, but yeah, it it looks pretty good. Now we want both of this to be also aligned in a row, so let's just quickly make our call us now container. Where is our call us now container? Yep. Just give it a display flex. We reload it. I think we missed. Okay, so we have, okay, sorry, we need to actually give this to our section itself. So let's just give it a class name of call us now section, and our section itself needs to have a display flex. Now it's properly in flex. We want them to take as much space as they can take, so we'll use justify content space between, and both of them are now at the towards the end, and yeah, it looks pretty good. So our, as you can see, our call us now has, because now they are aligned in the flex, you can see our call us now button has increased its width, increased its height actually. So what we can do is we can just quickly go inside this container and give it a, let's say, a height of 100px. That's a big height. In our case it's very small, so let's just go ahead with 40px. Yeah, 40px does look good, so we can restrict it using like using 40px. We are properly able to show it the way it is there. So now as you can see, our contact us now does look the way it is there. And actually what I'm thinking is, instead of gray, let's just go ahead and give this bluish color to our call now button. Or yeah, gray does look good actually, so let's not go ahead and go blue. Gray does look good, so let us keep it like this. Anyhow, colors, it's more about animation that we are going to add and not about the colors. So yep, this does look good. And now let's start giving animation to this. Before adding animation, let us just quickly add the space in between our header, our middle section, as well as our footer, so that it actually takes the space of the whole page, the height of the whole page. So let me quickly shift to my VS Code. Okay, let's just go above in our home section 1.js. Yes, so let me quickly go ahead and name this class as our home section main container. And let's just go ahead and add a CSS to our main container. So because we want it to take the full the height of the page, that web page that we have, and it should just expand and auto adjust itself in between, like we will just make 3 sections out of it. So for that, what we can do is we can use our display flex. Now because we are using display flex, they have been aligned in a row. Let me quickly show it to you as well. So as you can see, all of the 3 are now aligned in a row, but we want them like in a column. So what we can do is we can use flex direction for this, where we can use this column. As soon as we use this, you can see they are again back to how it was. Now what we can use is justify content space between, but if I switch it, there is nothing changed, because currently they don't have a specific height that has been given to them that they have to expand in between that height. So what we can do is we can go ahead and give it a height. So usually what we can do is 98 view height we can give to it, because usually the web page is around 100 view height, but because there are padding is involved from bottom and top, and all of those things, margins are involved, so 98 and 99 view height is what usually people go with. So once we have done this, you can see it has properly aligned itself and expanded itself in this height. You can see the footer is here, the footer is at the bottom, our header is at the top, and our middle section is properly in the middle. So now let us quickly move ahead and add the animation to our call us now, as well as our explore all properties. Shift to my VS Code. Okay, now yep, let's just create our animation first. So we can quickly, so our call us now has a kind of a wipe animation, where it just quickly wipes and shows call us now, the bit quickly wipes up. So what we can do is we can use wipe animation for this. So let me create one wipe animation.js, and let's just write this like this, and we will use our Framer Motion for this. So let me quickly import our motions as well. Let's just go ahead and import motion from Framer Motion. So we have our motion. Once our Framer Motion is there, we will quickly take, because this will be the same as our ascend animation only, so this will also take the children that we pass to it, a delay that we need, and a duration. By default we'll give it a duration of 0.95. we can also give a delay of 1 second, and if we want we can just pass this delay as well. and one more thing, because this is a wipe animation, we need to give it a direction. So if you want to wipe it like if you want it to be visible from left to right or right to left, so that's why we need to give a direction. So we can just quickly go ahead and give it a direction of, let's say, because we need it from right, so we will just give it a direction of right. In case, because we are creating it as a reusable component, we can then pass the direction as well. That's why it has been passed as a prop to our wipe animation. Now let us just quickly go ahead and create our motion.div. So let's use our motion for this. We have our motion.div in place. Inside motion.div we will have our children that we will pass from the parent. And now let us just go ahead and create our initial width. So, yep. So first we will need one initial width for this. Okay. And it would be, so initially we will have a width of 0%, because initially we want it to, like, because it needs to be a wipe animation, so it doesn't need to show up first. So initially it will be of a width of 0%, and then our animated width that we want for this would be like 100%. So we have our initial width as well as our animated width, and then we can quickly go ahead and use something called we will use one variable as transform origin. So transform origin will help us in setting the direction of our animation that we want. So that's why we will use the direction that is coming. If our direction is equals to right, then in that case use, if we want our animation direction to be starting from the right, then it needs to start from left, else it needs to start from right. Now why did we do this is because the origin from where we want to do this, if we want our animation to go towards right, then in that case the origin needs to start from left, so it needs to be from left towards the right. So that's what the origin needs to be, the opposite of what a direction would be. So that's why we are using this check to add a left or a right of our transform origin. Now once we have added that, we will quickly use our initial the initial prop that comes from our motion, from our framer motion. So with initial we will, what we can do is we will use spread operator, and just whatever we have passed in our initial width, we will add one origin x as well. So origin x just helps us to that this is the original position in the x direction. This is the original position that would be set for this. So we will just use our transform origin for our original x. Once we have our initial set, we will then have our animate. So our animate will be just simply animated width that we have. Then we need our transition, so we will use our transition for this. Our transition, we will have our duration, our delay, and our ease, and the transition we want. So we want an ease out transition for this, so we'll quickly just use our ease out transition for this. So once that is there, we need to use our style for this. So because initially we want it hidden, so that's why we are using overflow hidden for this. And we don't want to move anything towards the next line, so we will also use something called white space no wrap, so that it doesn't get wrapped up towards the next line. Once this is done, we are good with our wipe animation. So let's just quickly go ahead and start using our wipe animation. And let me quickly go ahead, because now as you can see our code is getting bigger and bigger. So I think so we need to start creating some bit small functions for this, instead of just writing the whole code inside this return itself. So what we can do now is, we have our callus now, the full callus now section. Inside it we have this small section of our callus now container. Let me quickly just add it for now. Then what we can do is, we can just refactor this code into small multiple reusable functions, and then directly use it in our return, so that each function will have its own code, and it will be easier for us to debug, or whenever we want to change anything. But for now, let's just quickly call our wipe animation. It will take our children, and let us just pass our this div towards our children. We will add a delay. Let me add a delay. So we will have a delay of 2 seconds. Duration, let's keep the same only. Let's not change our durations. And now see how it looks. And it looks pretty good. As you can see, after 2 seconds our wipe animation works here. Let me quickly reload it again. This comes, and then our wipe animation comes. So this looks pretty good. What we can do now is, let's add our another animation for our explore all our properties section. So let me go ahead and create one animations file for this. That would be nothing but a scale animation. That would be, because as soon as it loads, it just scale up. The image just comes from, like, there's nothing there, and it just scales up from there. So we'll use one scale animation for this. Let me create a simple scale animation.js rfce. We have our scale animation. We will quickly import motion from Framer Motion, we have our motion as well. We'll quickly change our, yeah, so we have the same here as well, motion.dev, and that's we have it. Again, we will need the children, we will have our children, we will have our delay, we will have our duration. 0.95 looks good. Inside this, what we can do is now quickly we will add our initial, because we just want to scale it up. So our initial equals to, yep, so in our initial we will have a opacity, because we don't want to, initially we don't want the user to see anything, so it will be 0, the opacity will be 0, and we want the scale factor, we can keep it at 0.1. You can keep it 0 because anyhow our opacity is 0, so that won't be visible to our user. Once that is done, in our animate crop, what we can do is we can give it the opacity of 1. Once we have our opacity, we can use our scale. Let's scale it to 1.09 because we want it pretty big when it scales. And once that is there, we will have our transition. Let us use our transition with duration, delay, and the ease, and it will be ease out. Once that is there, also one thing, because we are adding some scaling here, usually in case where scaling animations are added, the x and y, there are some issues with our x and y direction, because scaling, because when you scale a certain element, or when you scale a certain DOM element, there are issues that comes up with there are issues that comes up within its direction. So usually what we can do to handle this bug, it's actually kind of a bug that comes up. So to do that, what we can use is a simple display, and we can use inline block for this, as you can see. So adding this simple line will keep it in a place, at a single place when it scales up. I will quickly comment out this line just to show you what's the issue if you don't add this line, what's the issue that actually comes up. And let me just use our children here in this case. So let's just go to our home section 1. We have our section, let's just call our scale animation. We have our scale animation. We can quickly go ahead, remove this. We'll have our children, we can add it. Then we will have our delay. We just want a simple delay of 2 seconds. Let's keep the let's increase the duration a bit, because it's a bit of a fancy animation. So let's just keep a duration of 1 second, 1.2 seconds. Okay, let's just remove this comment and add it above here. Yep, now let's just move ahead and see how it looks. So as you can see, our animation, let me reload it, and as you can see, this is our scale animation that's in place and it's properly working. And let me quickly add this line as well. Let me reload it. Now as you can see, nothing has happened in this case, because we are aligned with these two elements here and they are expanded. That's why it has taken the maximum width. But in a case where if we haven't used like two elements, in this case, like if we haven't used a display flex, then this scale animation would have made this element to travel across towards the left or towards the right, depending on where the element is called, and that's an issue. So that's why we add that inline block CSS styling, so that it is just it is always stays in the same space and not moved towards in any of the x direction. So let me reload it once again, and as we can see now, our header, our title, our colors now, as well as our explorer properties are working pretty good. All the animations are in place. So now we can now move ahead to our towards our right section, where the images there, and the whole animation of the image is there. So yep, let's now move and solve that. Let us now switch to my code editor. Okay, so first now we will start with let's just refactor this code first, because now we will have a right section as well, and we already have a lot of left section code here. So then it's a bit confusing in that case, and it's not so usually we can create some reusable functions inside this to directly use this piece of code, so that we can only keep the like we can segregate the code in such a way that the left section code will be inside one of the function, the right section code will be in one of the function, and our return will only return the two functions from here, so that it's easy for us to debug or any changes that we need to do. It's easier for it or to handle any conditions there. So let's just quickly create one function left. Let's just name it get left. Yeah, container is okay. Get left container. And this will just return us this full section to us. Let us just put it down from here. Okay, so this is our left container. We can just quickly go ahead and call this left container here, and this will give us our left container to us. So this makes our code like if you want to do anything in the left container, we know that this function has all the code related to left container, and we can go ahead and do any changes that is needed there. And in the same way, we will create one function get right container where all our image code will be there. So let us now just quickly go ahead, and this will return us a div where we will handle our image code. So let me quickly show you the UI as well. Yeah, so this is our right section where we have one image. Inside the image we have this header as well as this footer, and everything is on top of the image. So, and as the image itself has an animation, so we need to create one animation for this image itself, and then using position absolute we need to add these two sections, the header section of the image as well as this catalog download button, which we will treat it as a footer of this above this image. And this all of the above have an ascend animation, and the below catalog button has our the scale up kind of animation that we have given to our explore all our properties one. So we can reuse those two animations for those. So let us first start by adding animation to this image and like creating this image. So switch to my editor. Okay, so we'll create our animation first. So let's just create one zoom in animation.js and do RFCE. Okay, we have a zoom in animation, and inside this we will just import our motion first. Let's just quickly import motion from Framer Motion. So our motion is here. You can quickly go ahead and do it like this. So let's go ahead and okay, so we have our motion.div. Now because this will be a very zoom specific animation that we need, as soon as the image loads, the actual image which is inside that actually has the animation, not the entire div. So we want the div to be there, but only the image inside needs to be animated. So instead of animating our div, what we can do is we will use our motion.image here, and we will add animation to this image instead of adding it to the whole div, so that our div stays there but our image has that animation that we need. So we can use this. Inside this, what we can do is we will take the and we will to this component we will pass one source. So source, because this is very image specific animation, so even if we need this animation somewhere down the line, what we can do is we will pass the images to this component, and it will just animate those images that we need. So yeah, so inside our image usually takes a source. That would be the source that we have passed. Then we need one alternate, so let's just, for now we will keep it as image. We have our alternate. We need one initial, so initially we will just keep our scale to 1 because we want it to be visible, and then we want to animate it so that it looks like it's growing. So we can just scale it to 1.3. so from 1 till 1.3 the scale animation will be happening to our image. We want a transition for this as well, so let's just quickly go ahead and add our transition. And the transition we will just add some duration. Let's just keep this duration as 1 because anyhow we just want 1 second duration for this. No need to pass any duration to this. We can pass if you want, but I don't think so there would be any need of duration for this. And then we can just go ahead and add some styles to this. We want this width to be of, let's say it would take all the width that is available, it will take all the height that is available, and we want it to be an object fit of cover. So let me just use object fit cover because we don't want to have any issues with our resolution while the image is scaling up or anything. So we will just use object fit cover for this. To whatever the width or size or whatever the scale we are doing, it will just properly manage the without pixeling out any image pixels. And to our div as well, we can just go ahead and add some styles. We will just use overflow. So in case if there is any overflow issue, we will just add overflow as hidden, so that there isn't any scroll bars or anything that comes up. And we will give it a height of okay, because anyhow height we can restrict it directly from our parent, so let's not just give any height to this. Let's just keep it like this. So we have our zoom in animation. Now we can go to our home section 1. Here we will have our get right container. Inside our get right container we can go ahead and add our zoom in animation. We need one source for this. We need to first import it. We need our source, and for source I'm just using any image from Unsplash. You can just copy paste any image that you like and use it here. I have just used some dummy image for this case. And now we have our image. We will just call this get right container as well. Let's just go ahead and call this okay. Now let's just see how it looks in our browser. As you can see, we have it here. Let's because we now have our left container as well as right container, we need to use display flex so that they are like properly aligned to left and right in a row. So let's just go ahead and add that as well. So actually we should just rename this to home section instead of main container, home section left container, and give the main container naming to our the actual main container that we will be using. So let's just keep it as left container, and let me just copy this. Okay, we have our main container. Now what we can do is we can just quickly close these files, go inside here. We have our main container which needs to be in a display flex. As you can see, now they are in a display flex. We also need to pass some height to this. So actually what we should do is just quickly let's just add a class name of get right container, and our get right container will have a height of 98 view height. Let's just reload it. Okay, because I guess it's inside, let me just add an important keyword for this. Okay, so it's not taking because I guess okay, correct, because we are using our zoom animation, and zoom animation we are using motion.div. So actually what we should do is we should add a height directly here. So if we use 98 view height from here instead of adding it to our get right container, and we should actually remove it from our home section as well, because now it will restrict it, the whole container except to it, because we only want it to be restricted to our image. So let's just add it there, and now reloading it. Yep, as you can see that animation is there. Let me again reload it. So there is this only image is animating inside, and our box stays the same. So we have our animation as well. And what we can do now is let me also, okay, so yeah, let's just quickly align this as well, because according to our UI, these two are properly aligned, like they are taking like around equal amount of space from both left and right. So let's just go ahead and do that as well. Because they are in display of flex, we can give them 1:1 flex expansion, which is nothing but like 50-50%. So what we can do is inside our get right container and left container, which are our like main containers. So what we can do is inside our home section left main container, we can give one property as flex, and this will give it as 1, and we can give the same property to our get right container, and we'll just give it a flex of 1. So both of them have 1:1 mapping of flex. That is nothing but like 50-50% expansion on both the sides. Now as you can see, the image is properly, the whole left and right section are properly divided into 50-50 kind of a like it's properly divided now. So now we want some margin to this side as well, and we can also add some maximum width to this, because this doesn't look good when it's like expanding. We want it in 2 to 3 lines, and now we can also increase the font size as well here, so that it properly matches to our UI. So let's just go ahead, and we can do is we will add some margin to our main left container. Let's just go ahead and add some margin towards the right, margin towards the right of 10px. Okay, no, we want a good amount of margin. Let's just add some 30px or so. Does look good, if you can see. Yep, let's just reload it. Yep, now it looks proper. Let's just increase the font size of this as well. Instead of just adding a maximum width, what we can do is increase the font size of this, because it looks too small. So let's just go ahead and inside our left container, this is what reusable code helps us, because now we know our left container only contains our left container code. We can also create small functions for our title as well as our header. We can do that piece as well, but currently now I'm just keeping it everything in the left container only, because there isn't any much conditions or anything that we are going to add. But for future reference, if you want to add any conditions or to render certain elements and on the screen, it's better to create a small functions. For let's say for your header, you can create one get left container headers function, which will only contain the code of your header, so that it's easy for you to add any conditions and everything in a, like when you have a lot of code. This helps any of the dev to debug your code for any bugs or anything, or you want to add any conditions. It's easy for you to read through your code. Now once this is added, let's just go ahead into our, okay, we have our h1 tag, so we have our middle section. Let's go ahead, home section, search for our middle section. So we have our h1. We will just increase it to 75 px. Let's see how much it's increased. Okay, it's increased a lot. Let's do it to 65. Okay, looks good in 65. Let's just go ahead and we will okay, let's just give it a bit of 350 px. Too small. Okay, let's not just give it some. Let's just give it in percentage. Let's just give it like too small. Sorry. Let's go ahead and add 65% of the screen. Okay, 85. Yeah, 85 looks proper. It has moved in 3 lines as well, and this looks good as well. Yep, it looks good. You want to move the screen? Yeah, it looks good. Yep. So go ahead and reload this, and it looks good. What we can do is we can also go ahead and this is just our animation. I think so. We have added a good amount of delay for our explore all. Let's just keep it 1 second only. Let's reload it so that everything comes up at a time. Yeah, now this looks good. And okay, so now towards our right hand side, we want our image also has like some circular edges. So instead of this sharp edges, we can just go ahead into our right corner, our zoom in animation, and we can just quickly go ahead and add some border radius as well. 22px. Okay, let's reload it. Okay, because our image is loading, so what we can do is let's just go ahead, add a border radius here as well, and now you can see it's proper. You can remove the border radius from here because anyhow we have our div, we have added it, so anyhow it's scaling and giving it. We can see, okay, we need a bit more of border radius. Let's just increase it to 32. Okay, that looks good, and it does look good. So we have our animation in place, we have the image in place as well, and the image is animating as well. So now let us start by adding the top header as well as the footer part. So now for our header, let me quickly switch to my code editor. Okay, so inside right container, we want first our header. Let's just take a quick look at our UI. We have 3 elements. Okay, 2 of them are text, and then inside we have 2 elements where we have this like icon as well as a home icon inside this only. One is filled and one is just outline. So okay, let's quickly go ahead and start using this. Okay, let's start. Yep. So what we can do now is first we need to, what we can do is just quickly create a header in a different function. So let's just create function get right header. This will give us our header. We'll just create a div. Because this is the upper panel, we have our main div. Inside this we have 3 elements, so just quickly create. Okay, so we have like this. First one is a simple, let's say our p or p tag, where we have text written as more than 1500 real estate properties. So just more than 1500 real properties. Okay, second one as well, we have some text from $145,000 with a yield of 10% per annum. I just got from 145,000, just $5,000. We'll just quickly add that sign with the yield of 10% per annum. Yep. Okay. See, we have our both of the text field. Then we will have actually 2 icons. Okay, but the icon, one of them is filled and one of them is just have a border. So we will need 2 div for this. One of them will be our like icon. So let me just quickly go ahead and check on material. Okay, so we have our material icons. Put it here. We just go ahead and check for our like icon. So we have our, let's just go ahead and copy it. So we have our favorite icon. We will need one home icon as well. And okay, let's just use this simple home icon. Actually, we just need an outlined home icon for this. So let's just use this. Let's copy it. Okay, so we have our favorite border icon as well as our home icon. let's use our favorite icon and our home outline icon as well. And we have our home outline icon in place. Okay, so we have all of those in our get right header. Just copy this. We can go ahead and call this function here. Okay, so we have our get right header function as well. Okay, let me open the UI. Okay, so in the UI we have our first text, the other text, then are both of the icons. Let's now just move all of this on the image. So for this, what we can do is we can get inside get right container, and here we can make this as a position relative, because we don't want our header container to go outside our image and the bottom catalog download as well. So all of them needs to be inside our image only. In any case, it doesn't need to, because that's the border for the, that's the final border for them, that it shouldn't go out of this image. So we can use the position relative on directly on our container, because our container only has that whole image inside it. And then what we can do is our main, we'll just name this as a get right header container, and we will make our get right header container, give a position absolute. We want it on the top, so let's just use our top of 0 px for this. Let's just see how it looks, and you can see all of those are now moved on the image as well as on the top. Now we can go ahead, and we want all this 3 of them to take equal amount of space. So whenever there is equal amount of space and in a row, we just use our display flex. All of them are now in flex. We want space, so we can, let me just quickly check the UI ones. Are all of them, yeah, mostly equal space only. So let's just use justify content space between. Okay, we need a width of 100% for this. Okay, we need some padding. Let's just add a padding of 10 px from and 30 px from both of the sides. Okay, okay, so we actually need to just close down our width instead of adding a padding, because we already are using a position absolute, plus we are inside a flex above an image, so it's better not to give it 100% of width, because it will just move itself down towards the, like it will just overflow above our image. So it's better to not give 100% of it. Let's just keep it like this. Anyhow, we will be having our buttons again more, so it's better to keep it like this. And then let's just add some padding, 10 px from top and 20 px from both the sides. That would much, yeah, this is how it looks much better. We need to again monitor this when we need to again actually move this padding a bit when we actually complete this, creating this button, because we will going to change, we should actually change. Let me just check the UI. Okay, so it's the font weight is a bit more, as well as it's moving into lines, so they have a width, a maximum width given to both of them. So what we can do is, actually just let me just, instead of this we can use h3 and check once. It's big, h5 too small. Okay, let's just go ahead with h4. Yeah, h4 makes sense. So instead of p, let's just, instead of p tag, we will use some h4 tag. And what we can do is we can use our trick here. So whatever is inside container, we can just give them a color of white, so they will get this font color of white. Okay, and then I think so instead of h4, let's just keep it p only. Let's not, we will just edit it with our own only. And let's just, so now what we can do is inside our container, wherever we have, so what we have done is, for inside our get right header, wherever div is there, and inside the div if there is a p tag, then just we want to give it a, because we have the color, so let's just give a font size of, let's say 20 px. Too big, keep it 18. Yeah, makes sense. Give it a bit of a font weight of, let's say 400. Let's just go with 600. Yep, looks pretty good. 500 does make much more sense. And let's just each of those div we want to give some, so let's just go ahead with the width of 300 px. Okay, can boil it down to 250. Okay, So now this two, okay, because we have given the proper, we have actually given the proper width, that's why it has been restricted down like this. Okay, so what should we do in that case is we actually should restrict our p tag instead of our div. Let the div, instead of restricting it, we will restrict our p tags only directly, and that would make much more sense then. Yep. So instead of restricting the whole div, we want the div to take the equal amount of spaces because we want the spacing to be correct. And instead of giving it to the div, we will directly restrict our p tag to have a width of let's say 250 px, so that it just moves to, like, it looks good by moving it to two lines and to match the UI. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and work on these icons. So what we want for this icon is, okay, first of all, let's just quickly align them from directly from here. We'll just use display flex. I'm just using inline styles here because there isn't much style that we can give in this case. We also want them align as well, so we forgot one thing, to align them. Let's just quickly align items to center so that they are properly aligned. And we want each of this div, okay, so one of them is filled and one of them just have borders, right? Let me quickly check the UI as well. Okay, so both of them, one of them is filled, one of them is actually just transparent, okay, and other UI is like filled with a black color, okay, sorry, white with a black icon. So what we can do is we can just quickly style directly here as well. Let's just go ahead and add border of 1px solid black. Oh sorry, we need it actually in white, so white. Okay, we have that. We need one padding, so all sides let's just add 10px for now, not too big, let's just keep it 5px, makes sense. And let's just add a bit of a border radius of 5px. Yep, looks good. Just add some display so that we will just quickly make them center. We need display flex, we want justify content center, so it stays down in center. We can just copy this same style. Okay, for our second as well, we have this. Now instead of border, we want a background. We want a background color of white. So let's just remove this. We have our color. Now inside this we have our color. We just make this icons font, so this icons color to be black. Okay, so it's black. Okay, and we want some spacing. We just add some margin towards right, 10px. Yep, yeah, it looks good. There is a margin added, it looks proper, and we have actually given it a it does look good. Let's just go ahead and increase this to 95% so that it properly arranges itself towards the end. So we have all this three of them arranged properly. What we can do is just go ahead and add the animations as well. So what we need for our this too, we can add our ascend animation that we have added to our logo as well as to our title. So let's just, okay, we have our this too, so let's just go ahead and use our ascend animation, call it 2 times. We need our children, so we will pass our children to this. Okay, there would be a problem in that case. So there is one problem that would now arise, is because we are directly accessing our div. Let's see. Yep, as expected, we actually need to use some class name for this. You can just go ahead and name this as let's say right header titles, and let's just go ahead and we can use this name because we are using ascend animation above this, so there would be an extra div that would have been added above it, and we are directly accessing it like this. So instead of directly accessing it like this, we will use our class name and use it like this. So this way we will get our animations as well as the CSS changes that we need. Now we can add other animations for this as well. So what we can do is we will use our scale animation for this. Let's add our scale animation. Scale animation needs our children, and we have our children below. Let's just copy cut it from here, add it to our children, and let's just see, and it works. Nice, looks pretty good. Yep. Both of them comes up. This takes an ascend animation as well. And let's now just quickly complete our catalog button as well. So in the UI, we have our catalog button like this. So we need one download icon, a text catalog download, and a small container of white color for a background to it. Okay, and it is aligned towards the bottom right section of it. So what we can do is quickly, inside a right header, we will just quickly create one more function, get right bottom. This will return us a simple div, and okay, so we will have our right bottom here. Inside this div will actually be of the white color that we need, and inside this we will need our text as well as our icon with that image. This div will contain our text, so let's just use h2 for this, for the word catalog download actually. So catalog download, we have this. Then we have a download icon, so let me quickly move to material icons, check for a download icon. We have one file download icon. Let's just copy this, paste it here, copy a file download icon. Inside this div we have our download icon. We'll just quickly give a class name of right bottom container. Let's just go ahead and add that white color to this. So this will have a width of 200 px. Let's see how we can manipulate this width. Give it a padding of 10 px from both sides, 20 px from left and right. Then once we have given our padding, let's add a background color of white to this, and whatever text is inside this would have a color of black. Okay, let me quickly, okay, oh, we haven't called our function, so let's just go ahead and call our get right bottom. So we have our header, we have our bottom, and we need to also add a position absolute and bottom 0, and we want this towards the right, so we'll just use right 0 px. Now if you see, we have it, it's too big, so we need to actually cut down its, okay, we need it actually just use 20 px. Okay, we have a catalog download like this. We want its width to be a bit big, so let's just use 200 right now. Let me check the UI as well. So actually we have used our h1 tag, which is too big, sorry, h2 tag, which is too big. Let's just cut down on that. Let's just use h3 in this case. Okay, now that makes much more sense. And let's just cut down to the 150 only. Okay, looks good. We want to have a border radius as well of 22 px. Okay, looks pretty good. Bottom just add 10 px so that there is a bit of this padding here. Align, we just need one display flex so that both of those gets aligned. Let's just align them in center as well. So we have aligned them in center, and there is a bit of a gray color on the background, so let's just quickly add some inline style for this, and we will go ahead and add a background color of, let's say, light gray. Okay, we want that color. We want to have a border radius of like 22 px, so it's a proper circle. We need a bit of a padding, so 10 px. We have our padding, let's just increase it to 42 px so that a circle is proper. Okay, let's just put it down to 5. Okay, and it looks pretty good. Okay, now let's just add some animation to our catalog download button. We move to our home section 1, and what we can do is we can go ahead and use our scale animation component for this. Let me just, we need to pass the children to them, so this will be our whole component that needs to be passed to this. I think so. Copying we missed. Okay, let's just properly add it. Yep, so we have our scale animation, but there would be a problem because now our because our right bottom is using a position absolute, and this whole component scale animation needs to have a div with a position, because wherever get right bottom is called, uh, the scale animation itself doesn't have any position absolute, so this would cause a bit of an issue for us. Let's just reload this, and as you can see, our catalog button has actually moved from this side towards this because we are using scale animation, and inside we are just passing a children of right bottom container. So what we need to do is we actually need to just simply wrap it around a div and position this div. So I will just quickly add some inline styles for this. We can simply just use position absolute. We want it to be bottom of 10px and towards the right 10px, and voila, we have our animation as well. Let me reload it once again. As you can see, all of our animation are now properly working. Our left side is properly aligned, our right side is properly aligned, our catalog button is also showing animation, all the three section above is also showing the animation. So our first page is now properly completed.